United States foreign policy for our next story, where President Trump has said that he will not let anyone who should not be going through the Venezuela blockade go through. This comes a day after Trump ordered a blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers sailing into what he calls our Venezuelan waters. Let's listen in to what Trump has said.
It's a blockade. Not going to let anybody going through that shouldn't be going through. You remember they took all of our energy rights. They took all of our oil from not that long ago, and we want it back. But they took it. They illegally took it. Getting land, oil rights, whatever we had, they took it away because we had a president that maybe wasn't watching. But they're not going to do that. We want it back. They took our oil rights. We had a lot of oil there. As you know, they threw our companies out, and we want it back. Well, I think the message this evening is we inherited a mess, and we've done a great job, and we continue to. And our country is going to be stronger than ever before very soon. Thank you very much, everyone.
Meanwhile, the Venezuelan National Assembly has unanimously approved a resolution rejecting Trump's order to impose a full blockade on sanctioned oil tankers. Assembly President Jorge Rodriguez has said that Trump's main interest is to take control of Venezuela's natural resources. He has added that Venezuela must defend its land. Let's take a listen in.
Queda claro cuál es la intención. Y esa intención confesada por Donald Trump y ratificada por Stephen Miller y expresada de rodillas por la genocida Machado ha generado tal indignación en el pueblo de Venezuela que hoy, más que nunca, estamos listos para defender nuestra tierra.
Now, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has also made statements. He said that his country will continue its oil trade. According to reports, most Venezuelan exports remain on hold due to the blockade, even though Venezuelan state oil company, the PDVSA, has restarted loading crude and fuel cargoes after it had to suspend its operations because of a cyber attack. Chevron vessels are also continuing to depart for the United States. Meanwhile, international oil prices have surged following Trump's blockade. Let's in fact listen in to what the Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro had to say on the issue.
Y Venezuela seguirá comerciando todos sus productos en el espíritu de la generación de libertadores que se levantó luchando contra la compañía guipuzcoana. Y seguirá el comercio para allá y para acá de nuestro petróleo y de todas nuestras riquezas naturales que por Constitución, por decreto de Bolívar, pertenecen nuestras riquezas y nuestra tierra y nuestro petróleo a su único dueño legítimo por los siglos de los siglos, que es el soberano pueblo de Venezuela, que es el dueño absoluto de las tierras, del subsuelo y de toda su riqueza.
Venezuela, of course, has the largest proven oil reserves in the world, and now Donald Trump is hitting Venezuela hard, not just with a military threat, but also economically. Matthew, what are your thoughts on how Donald Trump is handling the situation with Caracas when it comes to oil transport to the United States?
I think, you know, everybody is calling it a blockade, including President Trump, and it's not a blockade. It's simply more aggressive enforcement of sanctions against oil tankers, against ships, against vessels. But nonetheless, though, President Trump, by assembling a massive armada in the Caribbean Sea and around the waters off South America, is definitely putting pressure on Venezuela, and it is starting to, I'm just looking at the Wall Street Journal right now, there's a headline, the $8 billion black market for Venezuelan oil is suddenly closing down. And this is, you know, as a result of Donald Trump's pressure on Venezuela. So this policy of enhanced enforcement of sanctions, against specifically sanctioned oil tankers, does appear to be having the intended effect. It is hurting Venezuela. It is reducing their oil revenues, and it is going to cause a lot of problems for Venezuela, a socialist economy, and they're going to start running out. The government's going to start. Our government was already in rough shape. People have to dig into garbage bins to find food, and they're eating household pets and so on. Venezuela is in rotten shape, and it is only going to get worse. And the goal here, as I've said in recent weeks, is regime change. Donald Trump wants to force the dictator Nicolas Maduro out, and that's definitely a good thing. And if it can be accomplished without any U.S. troops on the ground in Venezuela, then that would be a major, incredibly positive accomplishment. So I think that his policy with respect to Venezuela is, at least so far, it is quite successful.
Yes.
And it's going to pay dividends, so to speak. And you get a sense that something is going to happen in Venezuela soon, because they're not going to be able to put up with their number one export, oil, not being able to sell it on the black market or to any market, especially China, which is a large recipient of it. They're hurting, and it's going to start affecting things internally in Venezuela, and that's probably a good thing for the Venezuelan people. Maybe they'll rise up and overthrow Maduro, which would be a glorious thing.
Okay, Matthew, stay with us once again. We now move over to the United States, but for a related development where the US House has narrowly rejected two Democratic efforts to curb President Donald Trump's actions towards Venezuela. The votes came amid growing speculation that Trump could order military action against the oil-rich South American nation. Lawmakers voted largely along party lines to block resolutions that would have required congressional approval before US forces engage Venezuela or designated groups in the region. Republicans argued the measures would weaken the president's ability to counter cartel-linked threats. The votes came just hours before Trump was set to address the nation, a day after he ordered a blockade of sanctioned oil tankers linked to Venezuela. US forces have already carried out more than 20 strikes on suspected drug boats as Caracas denies any role in the drug trade. Matthew, are you surprised by this outcome from the US House, given the fact that Donald Trump, of course, promised to drag America out of these so-called forever wars?
Am I surprised that the House voted against the War Powers resolution offered by Congressman McGovern of Massachusetts, the Democrat? I'm not surprised. The Congress rarely restrains the president when he is conducting foreign policy using military means. They may talk a good game about reining in his war powers, but they almost never do it. So I'm not surprised that the war powers resolution failed, and that they're not, narrowly, and that they're not going to do anything, at least for the time being, about President Trump's saber rattling in Venezuela. And he does have executive authority, as the commander-in-chief of the United States military, to use it.
Yes.
To use it as he wishes, with certain reasonable restrictions. So, this is not at all surprising that it failed in Congress. And if they have more votes in the future, they'll probably fail as well, because Congress usually doesn't want to get in. They may complain about the president's management of wars or foreign policy and so on, but they rarely do anything to interfere with it. So.
Yes, Matthew Verdum, thank you very much for joining us here on News X World. It's always a pleasure to speak to you. We do wrap up news from the United States with a fresh development. And the US military has said that it has carried out a lethal strike in the Eastern Pacific. The military says the strike has targeted a vessel suspected of narco-trafficking operations and that 4 men on board the vessel have been killed. According to US Southern Command, intelligence confirmed the boat was traveling along a known drug smuggling route. Officials have stated the vessel was actively involved in narco-trafficking at the time of the strike. The United States Southern Command has also said the operation was part of ongoing efforts to disrupt drug trafficking networks in the region and protect maritime security in the Eastern Pacific. Of course, these claims are disputed. We now move on, and the United States has approved for 11